Hey, I want to welcome you guys back to another episode of the AWM NFL Podcast. My name is Ricardo Stewart. I'm your host, and I'm joined with my friends Jeff Locke, Sam Acho, and the truth himself, Zach Miller. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and jump back in, and I'll start first with just taking a journey down memory lane. So when I was a kid growing up, one of the things I loved to do is me and my friends, we would collect cards. We'd collect MLB cards, NBA cards, as well as NFL cards, but primarily MLB. We get these upper deck, you'd rip them open, and you'd hope to have a Michael Jordan card, or you'd hope to have a Jose Canseco card, and we would all talk about, like, how much is this card worth? What do you think this card is worth? And there was this thing called the Beckett. And the Beckett is where you would go and turn in this book, and you could look and see what each card was worth. And one time we were talking at my friend's house, arguing over what a particular card is worth, and I'll never forget this. His dad walked in, and he goes, "You know how much that card's worth?" And we're like, "It's worth $2 or $5. And he goes, "No, it's worth however much somebody's willing to pay for it." And it was the beginning of understanding value and how can you create value. And that's what I want to talk about today. From an NCAA student athlete, when it comes to the portal and NIL, all the way to an NFL player, is how do athletes create value? And so I'm going to start first. And I'm going to start with you, Jeff, starting first with the phrase we use of creating value is human capital. And so what is human capital and what does it really mean?
Yeah, human capital, let's break it down into two words. Human, me, right? Capital, value, right? Human value, what is the value that you produce as a human being, right? Simple as that. But there's different types of human capital. There's subcategories that we're going to get into. The way I think about it, like skill, knowledge, expertise, and connections. Connections is the one that kind of gets missed sometimes, but I'll let these guys talk about the different kinds of human capital that we like to break it down to.
Yeah, we use that phrase a lot with our clients, and we talk about human capital. And I know that's not just normal language for most people. And so when we begin to break down human capital, like Sam, you're my next victim here, right? First of all, speaking of human capital and human value, you look real good with that suit on right there, my friend, and so the value is rising. And so the question I have for you is there's three parts of human capital when you break it down. There's the physical, there's the intellectual, and then there's the social. And so Sam, why is human capital important for athletes to be able to understand and know?
Well, human capital is important because all that it is your ability to earn and increase and grow your wealth. It's somebody paying you to do something, maybe for a job or maybe for an idea. I mean, think about it. The human capital, we talk about physical capital. That's you as a football player. I'm going to train as hard as I can to try and go to the NFL so a team can draft me and pay me. Maybe I'm in the NFL right now. I'm going to have a dominant year, 16 sacks, and show that a team can pay me even more money, physical capital. But also you can talk about intellectual capital. I'm going to have people pay me for my ideas, right? Intellectual capital. I'm on TV all the time. I'm on ESPN. Okay, people are paying me to talk about TV, right? So intellectual capital. And then social capital, I know we're going to dig in a lot more, but social capital, it's your last name. It's your network. It's your ability to walk into doors and get into places that no one else can because of who you are. And so we'll dig a lot deeper into it, but human capital is extremely important because it's your ability to earn income and do the things that you love to do the most.
So keeping it consistent there. Human value and how you as a human create value. And we're looking at it as we've talked to high school students that have created value, to student athletes in college, and obviously our clients that are NFL athletes. And so Zach, as a former pro, but always a pro, talk to me about the physical capital and why that's important.
It's hugely important because it's the chance for NFL players, NIL players to make the most amount of wealth. You're just blessed and lucky, and I was lucky to be given, God-given gifts to be the size I was, the speed I was, the ability to block. And so that's true of anyone that has a chance to play in the NFL, and the ability to turn that human capital, what you can do on the field, what you can do with your body, your strength, your skills, your talent, your athleticism, you can turn that into wealth just by going out there, doing everything the right way, training, taking care of your body, performing on the field. And now colleges pay you, NFL teams will pay you, and it's hard to get your actual real value because of free agency. So I was lucky enough, I played out my whole rookie contract where I go from earning like $400,000 one year to the next year I'm earning like 10 million for that season. And I was the same player or close to the same player between those 2 years. But one year I'm getting, 1/10 of what I was another year, and nothing changed except for I was able to reach free agency. So all those teams know kind of what your human capital value is. They put dollar amounts on you. If you watch any of the Hard Knocks, the GMs will talk about what a player's worth, what his market value is, and you can see how they talk about players. And that's literally talking about their human capital, ability to turn into wins for a football team. And so now at the NIL level, at the NFL level, it's about how long can you play and how high of a level can you play. And that just straight directly turns into kind of wealth that is very difficult for anyone else in this world to create in their 20s, which NFL players have the opportunity to do.
So, Sam, you played in the NFL for 9 years. You played very, very well, but not just the accolades that you got by your performance. I love to say this a lot because it's true. You were voted one of the smartest human beings in the NFL. I don't know who voted this, but they voted for you to be one of the smartest people. And so it matters because we just look at your career now, what you're doing in the financial space, what you're doing on television, what you're doing in the nonprofit world. Like, you are using more than just your physical ability to be able to generate income and wealth. So tell me, for you, from your perspective, like, how important is the intellectual part of human capital?
I think the intellectual piece of human capital is extremely important just because we all need to understand we're more than just one dimension. Like, there's the dimension of us as athletes, and that is important. That is great. But a lot of us are husbands and fathers. Some of us are businessmen, business leaders. I mean, there's some of us are people of faith, people who love to serve in their communities. And so they're more than just what you put on tape. In football, we're told, hey, you are what you put on tape. And I get it. That's a piece of it. But you're more than just a one-dimensional creature, one-dimensional being. And so for me, I'm a public speaker. I'm a finance professional. I'm a professional in the financial space. I work in a family office called AWM Capital. I'm on ESPN calling games. I'm so much more than just a former NFL athlete, and so are you, right? Especially if you're a current player. So there are these skills. It'll let you continue to develop, and oftentimes the NFL or the NFLPA will actually pay for you to go back, want to go get a degree, or maybe it's not back at a specific college. There's so many ways to develop your intellectual capital, and that will keep on carrying with you even when your ability to earn income from a physical level playing football diminishes.
Okay. My mom used to always tell me, you're only as good as the company you keep. Every time I'd go, Mom, I'm just going to hang out with my boys. Oh, that guy. And I'm like, Mom, he ain't that bad. And she goes, boy, you're only as good as the company you keep. And the reality of it is, it was who are you around? Because where they're going, oftentimes that's where you're going. Good, bad, or indifferent. Jeff, talk to me about social capital.
Yeah, social capital is the one that's the hardest to value, hardest to put like a tangible number on, right? Physical is pretty easy. Intellectual, you can get paid for a job you have after you're playing. But social is kind of like this thing, like, hey, I think I got it, but do I really have it? It's really who you know and what they think of you. That's the key, the what they think of you part. Because you can know a lot of people, but actually have no social capital if you can't work with who you know to get things done. So all of us on this call, right, we did a really good job of, while we were at our peak physical capital, we were also using our intellectual capital to learn, but we were using our social capital when we had the biggest name on our back to build the connections we needed when we were done playing. And that's literally why all of us now work at AWM Capitals, because we used social capital along the way. And I mean, Sam is the masterclass at social capital. The amount of guys this guy knows, I don't know how his phone has enough memory for his contact book. But it goes a very long way, because physical capital is the only one that's guaranteed to stop at some point, and usually very, very early. So you got to have the other two built up, social and intellectual.
And if I could just share one quick story, Jeff, to the point that you just made, sometimes your physical capital may not get you in the door, or your intellectual may not, or your social may not. That's why it's good to be balanced, good to be three-dimensional. I'll give you a quick example, quick story. A couple weeks ago, I was in Buffalo. I finished calling a game relative to Buffalo to go connect with some guys and talk to them about God, about money, and some things that I do. And I wanted to go to the Bills game in Montreal. It was a very last-minute trip. I didn't need to know if I was going to be able to go or not. And so I didn't even want to go to the game. I just wanted to go on the field before the game just to connect with some of these guys who we serve. And I go to the stadium, and I get a pregame pass from somebody in the management of the team. And it was a pregame pass, but it wasn't an immediate pass with ESPN, right, which gets you in wherever. It was like a friends and family pass. And so I'm thinking, hey, guys, I get to the door 2 hours before the game. It's cold. It's freezing. I wasn't dressed for the weather. And I'm like, hey, I'm with ESPN. And they're like, well, let me see your pass. And I pull up my pass, and they're like, no, sorry. That pass doesn't get you where you want to go. And I'm like, but it's me. I'm saying, I'm not sure about you. It didn't matter, right? Like that piece of my capital, call it my social capital in that scenario, wasn't going to work because I didn't have the right tools, the right kit, if you will. So I had to wait. And I waited, and finally the doors open. I go in, I go down to the deal, down to the field. And once again, I'm thinking, hey, it's me. I played here. I actually played in Buffalo my last year in NFL, trade with them, Josh Hall, and all those guys. I'm thinking I'm going to go straight to the field. But no, it was, hey, you've got this pass. Hey, I need you to stay in this section. But that's where some of the social capital or maybe intellectual capital starts to come into play. One of the security guards, I'll kind of land the play here. It's actually security guards like, hey, sir, I know you're kind of hanging out in the back, but I need you in this roped off area where everyone else with that pass has. And as he's saying this, I'm looking at one of my former teammates, one of the specialists for the team, Jeff Locke, shout out to the specialist. And he says, and the security guy's like, hey, if you want, go take a picture from inside the deal. I was like, hey, excuse me, sir, just real quick. I actually played for the Bills. I was on the team a couple years ago. That guy's a good buddy of mine. He's like, what's your name? I'm Sam Acho. Oh, dude, Sam Acho, come on, feel free. So I go from that section with my little pass to on the field. But mind you, security could still easily say, hey, dude, I'm sorry, you don't have the right credentials to get where you need to go. But because of that little interaction, that little trust that was built, all of a sudden I got a chance to go where I wanted to go, where I belong, and do what I wanted to do. So it wasn't just my physical capital. I wasn't with the Bills anymore. It wasn't like my social capital at the beginning. Hey, I'm going to do ESPN. It never mattered, right? It was using all the skills you have to go and do the things you're supposed to do. And so it may take you standing out in the cold for a bit. It may take you to say, hey, dude, I'm person X, Y, and Z. But you have to be able to develop your skills so not only people can pay you to do a job, you can do the things you're supposed to be doing on this earth.
Love it. So how do I create value? Whether you're a junior or senior in high school, you're about to go to college, you're in college right now, you're in the NFL, really, it's your human capital. Does not mean that you are only as good as you perform. There's intrinsic value in who you are as a person. You are not a commodity. However, there are some things you can do with your body, with your mind, and the people you know that can make yourself even more valuable. And so anything that we said today from Jeff, Sam, or Zach, or myself, we'd love to hear from you. Any questions you may have, feel free to reach out to us. You'll see the number on the screen.